Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. Our top headlines tonight. Record fuel prices in India with another hike announced today. It's not just the fuel cost, but higher taxes that are driving the high rates. Currently, 147% taxes are being paid for petrol and 113% in taxes for diesel. Also to record high are college cutoffs. 100% cutoffs for top courses in Delhi colleges, and lists announced today. SRCC has 100% cutoff for commerce and economics. Hindu, Hansra, JMC are amongst the other colleges with 100% cutoffs for key courses. COVID hit board exams and now cutoffs soar post-COVID. Mission admission equal to mission impossible for many. OK Tata, is it clear that Air India will now be sold to the Tata Group? Tata has emerged as the highest bidder for the national carrier. According to sources, the final decision will be taken by a group of ministers. From JRD to Ratan Tata, a full circle for Air India. Mukesh Ambani is Asia's richest in the latest wealth list, and the Adani brothers, including Gautam Adani, are now at number 2. The Adani brothers are at their second spot as their wealth grows by almost 4 times. Meanwhile, Ritesh Agarwal's Oyo files for an 8,430 crore IPO. The top court talks tough to farmers. The Supreme Court tells farmers who ask for permission for Satyagraha in Delhi that you have strangulated the entire city. Russia, Dubai or Mumbai's ex-top cop is now missing. Has he fled the country? A political row over Parambir Singh's disappearance. Well, our lead story tonight is record-breaking fuel prices. Diesel prices are today the highest they've ever been in all 4 metros. Let's just take a look at those figures. So there you've seen how diesel prices steadily rising. Petrol prices are also at a record high in 3 of our main cities, in Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata today. And why exactly are prices so high? Well, the Brent crude has been rising, but for India, the main reason is taxes. So petrol actually costs only 41 rupees per litre, but you pay 147% in taxes. So if you look at that figure, you can see that of the total 101.89, petrol is at 41 rupees and the taxes at 60 rupees 50 paise. Now, what's the cost of diesel? Well, again, the cost of diesel is actually only 42 rupees per litre, but you're paying 113% in taxes. So again, look at that breakup of a total of 90 rupees 17 paise. The diesel is 42 rupees 29 paise, the cost of the fuel, but taxes are at 47 rupees 88 paise. So that's the reason why prices are spiking. A global energy crisis, a lower output after hurricanes in the United States, and a higher demand ahead of winter. Also an unexpected demand because of economic recovery. With crude oil, global prices are currently at $77, $78 per barrel. Will it hit $100? But of course, for Indian consumers, these high prices coupled with high taxes isn't good news.
Sales executive Rahul is tired of the same old story that petrol in Chennai is more expensive today because crude prices are up. Also, this physiotherapist struggling to balance her home budget with a static income and rising fuel price.
We can't tell our clients to pay us more because of the fuel prices. Being in a middle class family, for us it's very tough.
Prices are hitting 100 every day, whereas the few people's earning us in a single day is comparatively like 200 to 300.
While petrol is still below the 100 rupee mark in Chennai, in Kolkata it is up by 30 paise today to hit 102.49, 5 rupees cheaper than Mumbai's 107.95. Nina's transport business is so badly hit by COVID and the fuel hike, she is cutting costs every which way.
We have 2 cars. Nowadays we just run only 1 car. Every day we are petrol is raising and so difficult. And after COVID, and the work is not going so well. We left drivers also 1 year back.
Among the 4 metros, Mumbai is worst hit. The middle class hit the hardest, and there is anger.
मैं समझता 100 तक जाएगा, अभी 107 तक गया। तो हम लोग को अभी मुश्किल है, किधर भी बाहर जाना है तो हम लोग क्या ज़्यादा लंबा नहीं जाता है। भाजपा था ₹10 बढ़ रहा था तो पूरा हंगामा कर रहा था। अभी हर टाइम बढ़ रहा है तो कुछ नहीं बोल रहा है अभी।
Fuel prices rose last year too. Petrol by 11%, diesel by 9%. But in 2021, both petrol and diesel are up by 22%, burning a bigger hole in the pocket than ever before. With Bureau Inputs, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Well, record fuel prices, and let's move now to record cutoffs for India's largest university and most prestigious, Delhi University. We've now got 9 courses in Delhi University which want a 100% cutoff. That includes the prestigious Shri Ram College of Commerce, where both BA Honours Economics and BA Honours Commerce requires you to have 100% marks. Now, remember, board exams were cancelled because of COVID, but that's had an impact on cutoffs, with cutoffs soaring. Akshay is joining me now with some young students who want to get into Delhi University. So, Akshay, we're seeing various courses, even political science wanting a 100% cutoff, even science courses, computer science and commerce. Who are these students who are getting 100% cutoffs?
Well, that's the biggest question, Sonia, because if you look at the number of applications that have come this year for the Delhi University, they are over 350,000. But there are only around 70,000 seats for the undergraduate course. I have with me these students, very bright students, all of them. In fact, Kushagra has scored 99%, but he wants to get an admission into SRCC in BCom Honours. I'll speak to all of them. Kushagra, what are you thinking looking at this percentile?
So first of all, my aim was to get into SRCC, but looking at the cutoffs today, I feel that it is placed at a very high number, and just now hoping that SRCC comes to at least 99, so I can get into that.
So were you able to get admission in any other college in North Campus?
No, I was not even able to get admission into any of the North Campus colleges, so I am still looking to choose which South Campus college to go for my course, BCom Honours.
Okay. What about you, Arihant? How much have you scored and where did you want to get admission?
So I ended up scoring 96%, and I wanted to get into DCAC so that I can pursue journalism honours. But the thing is, when the cutoff list came, so I saw that DCAC journalism honours is 99%, so my heart sank a bit. But I'm just hoping that after 2 or 3 lists, that the cutoff goes down a bit and I can hopefully.
Are you guys shocked that the cutoff is so high? Have you seen any precedents before?
As you compare from the last year, it was like 98. But if you see now, because of this corona and lockdown and all, people were not able to study at a proper pace and all. So I don't know, because of this new education system and all the calculation they did, it's pretty high. And
what were you aiming at? Which course?
I was aiming at honours in journalism honours.
Okay.
Yes.
So the percentile is 99. Anhad is here with us, who scored 97.25% and wanted to get admission in BCom Honours History. What happened, Anhad? What was the cutoff?
The cutoff was just a little bit too high for me at my dream college, which is Hansraj College, right? Now I am looking at other options too for the first cutoff list, but I will be definitely hoping for a second cutoff list
in these colleges.
Because
it's heartbreaking, Sonia, if you look at the hard work that these young boys have put in, and they are still struggling to get in good colleges of Delhi University.
Absolutely, Akshay. In fact, I'm just hearing that journalism honours needs 99%. Please tell them that for journalists, at least, the cutoff makes no difference at all, and it's really just all about experience. And tell them not to worry. There's lots more ahead than these cutoffs, but that's the point, that millions of students across India looking at Delhi University cutoffs, and these 100% cutoffs are just something which is just too much pressure on students who had a terrible year with corona as it is. I hope colleges do actually reconsider or waiting lists open up. But let's just go across to the other big stories. And well, Air India, is it finally okay? Tata, has the Maharaja come back home? The legacy of J.R.D. Tata now being continued by Ratan Tata. For more on that, let's go across to Vishnu, because Vishnu, reports coming in that in the initial round of bids, Tata Group could have emerged the leading bidder.
That's right. It almost seems certain that the Tatas will end up picking up Air India. This is would be absolutely amazing. It's like a full circle. 1932 was when Tata Airlines, which became Air India International, was formed. Subsequently, it was nationalized. Ratan Tata has had always a dream of bringing Air India back into the fold. Now it's likely to happen. There's still a little bit left in the process. They need to sort out the financials. My sense is that they're waiting for a time for a big announcement to actually take place. But Air India has huge debt, 60,000 plus crore rupees. How much of that are the Tatas willing to absorb? All those details will actually emerge. To make Air India financially viable again, I say will be perhaps the biggest challenge that Tatas have ever faced.
Right, Vishnu. So really, as you said, and originally at one point it's a JRD Tata with that L 1932 called Tata Airlines. So could it be back in Tata's hands? We'll follow that developing story, but also vaccine racism, a big move by the government today on this with the UK. What's the latest?
An Indian national going to the United Kingdom presently, even if they've got 2 doses of Covishield, like you or me, if we had to go over there to travel, we would need to be in quarantine for 10 days. You can lessen that period in some cases if you want to spend a whole lot of money. India said all along that, look, this makes no sense. Why? Because Covishield is manufactured in India. India has exported Covishield to the United Kingdom. 5 million doses have been administered to UK people. They don't have any quarantine rules in their country. But if we were to visit over there, we would be stuck in quarantine. So now India has finally said, no, that's not acceptable. If a UK national comes to India, they would need to quarantine for that same period of time. They would need to do additional RT-PCR tests as well. It's tit for tat. And the bottom line is it doesn't help people of either country, UK nationals or Indian nationals. This needs to be sorted out between the governments of both sides. And it can be if the UK actually accepts COVIN, because COVIN is World Health Organization standard. It's got all the data you need for a vaccine
so it
passport.
really makes no sense on this, and given the amount of traffic between the two countries, it's really ridiculous to have this vaccine racism stopped. So India now acting tough. Hopefully the UK will now concede. Well, a quick look at other news. Well, it's the season of IPOs, and now Oyo filed for a $1.2 billion IPO backed by SoftBank. The Oyo has filed draft papers for an initial public offering with SEBI. The hospitality tech startup Oyo aims to raise over 8,000 crores. The Oyo founder Ritesh Agarwal has said he will not dilute his 33% stake in the firm, looking at 7,000 crore funds being raised, which will be fresh equity after the last deal with Microsoft. Oyo is valued currently at $9.5 billion. And post a nod from the regulator, Oyo could be on D Street by December or January. Remember, Oyo founder Ritesh Agarwal is a college dropout and started the firm at just 19. So a good message there for all those people worried about cutoffs today. Meanwhile, India's richest are getting richer. Mukesh Ambani remains Asia's richest, and now Gautam Adani is next with 1,002 crore earnings per day. That's according to the latest India Rich list. Gautam Adani has zoomed to the second spot after almost quadrupling his wealth, where you can see now it's at 5,05,900 crores. Mukesh Ambani continues at the top spot in the list with his total earnings of 7,18,000 crores. The Adani brothers are for the first time featured in the top 10 rich list of Asia. Vinod Shantilal Adani had stood at the 8th rank, with his wealth tripling to 1,31,600 crore. HCL Shiv Nadar and family at the 3rd spot, and also included SP Hinduja and LN Mittal, Cyrus Poonawalla and Radhakrishnan Damani in that top 10 richest list in Asia. Well, markets down for the 4th day. The Sensex slipping 360 points, ending at 58,765. The Nifty also down by 86 points, mainly because of the hit taken by realty, financial and IT shares. Experts are saying that bond yields are rising and the fear of inflation persisting is a concern. Well, let's just look at other headlines. You have strangulated the entire city. The Supreme Court told farmers groups today on a plea asking that there should actually be the satyagraha allowed in Delhi. They've sought permission from the Supreme Court to hold satyagraha at Jantar Mantar. The Supreme Court has talked tough to the farmers, saying, why should we let this happen when you're actually holding a city to ransom? You have strangulated the entire city. Even defense personnel are being inconvenienced. And what's the point of continuing the protest? If you actually believe in the courts, you come to the courts, why are you still in these protests? Farmers groups have said that they were not part of those blocking the highways. The Supreme Court has now asked them to file an affidavit in this matter. Meanwhile, other news. Well, the latest controversy in Punjab politics may not be about the internal Congress crisis, but the centre's decision to actually delay paddy procurement. The new Punjab minister met the Prime Minister Narendra Modi today and also asked that why has paddy procurement been delayed?
मैं आज माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से मिला। मुख्यमंत्री बनने के बाद पहली बार ये कर्टसी कॉल थी। मैंने 3 बातें उनके समक्ष रखी हैं। पहले जो प्रोक्योरमेंट है वो 1 से शुरू होती है, 1 अक्टूबर से, लेकिन इस बार केंद्र सरकार ने उसको 10 अक्टूबर से कर दिया है। मैंने उनको रिक्वेस्ट की है कि आप इसको अभी शुरू करवाएं। मैंने उनको कहा है कि जो ये 3 बिल का झगड़ा है इसको ख़त्म करो। किसानों से मैंने उनको डायलॉग शुरू करने की बात की है जो पिछले समय से टूटा हुआ है, क्योंकि डायलॉग से ही बात हल होगी।
Well, moving to the other big story, once Mumbai's top cop, he's now Mumbai's most wanted, is ex-Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh in Russia or Dubai. He's just disappeared and there's a huge political fight which has erupted over this.
Once Mumbai's top cop, now Mumbai's most wanted. Former City Police Commissioner Parambir Singh, accused of lapses in handling a fake terror plot aimed at the Ambanis, is now said to have fled India. Possible destinations include Russia and Dubai.
हम भी उनको ढूंढ रहे हैं, वो कहाँ मिलेंगे। इनपुट ऐसे ही है कि वो होंगे या नहीं होंगे। एक्चुअली एक गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर होने के कारण उन्होंने अगर देश के बाहर जाना है तो गवर्नमेंट की अनुमति लेना आवश्यक है।
The case of the missing Parambir Singh is now a full-blown political fight, with government ally the Congress now asking why Parambir Singh hadn't been arrested earlier, with a dig at both the state and the centre.
कांग्रेस की तरफ से हमने बयान दिया था कि अगर मैं सरकार रहता तो मैं पहले परमवीर सिंह को अरेस्ट करता। राज्य सरकार को बदनाम करने के लिए जब इस आईपीएस अधिकारी का दुरुपयोग करने का काम जो केंद्र सरकार ने किया था, मामला सामने न आए और इसको इसलिए परमवीर सिंह को विदेश पलायन करने में केंद्र सरकार का हाथ है।
जो मंत्री ये उगाही कर रहे थे, उनके आकाओं के नाम जांच एजेंसियों के सामने परमवीर सिंह न बताए, क्या उसी डर के कारण, उसी भय के कारण उन आकाओं ने परमवीर सिंह को छुपाया है?
The controversial Parambir Singh first hit headlines during the arrest of Sadhvi Pragya during the probe into the 2008 Malegaon blasts case. His tenure as Mumbai Police Commissioner saw high-profile cases like the fake TRP scam and his close aide, tainted encounter specialist Sachin Vaze, being reinstated in the police force. In February this year, a car with gelatin sticks was found near the residence of India's richest man, industrialist Mukesh Ambani. Parambir Singh gave the case to Vaze. But India's top anti-terror agency, the National Investigation Agency, took over the probe and made startling revelations leading to Vaze's arrest and Parambir Singh's removal. Vaze was named as the key conspirator in planting the gelatin sticks in a car and then killing Mansukh Hiren, who owned the car. Hiren was seen with Vaze on CCTV footage. Former encounter specialist Pradeep Sharma, also a key conspirator in the murder of Mansukh Hiren, according to the NIA. The NIA filed a charge sheet in the case that raises questions about Parambir Singh's role, though it has not named him as an accused. Meanwhile, it's not just Parambir Singh who disappeared. Also missing is the state's former Home Minister, who has managed to evade the Enforcement Directorate since it began a probe into allegations made by Parambir Singh himself. Today, a court said he must appear before it on November 16. Parambir Singh had made allegations of corruption and extortion against former Home Minister Anil Deshmukh, leading to his resignation. It's unbelievable that a former Home Minister and his former Police Commissioner are both missing and not responding to summons. This as the Congress and the BJP throw allegations at each other of political interference and meddling. In Mumbai with camera person Praveen G. Rohit, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
In a very worrying charge sheet filed by the Uttar Pradesh police, in fact, it's a 5,000-page charge sheet filed against journalist Siddiqui Kappan, who's been in jail since last year, actually looks at his coverage and says that it favors only Muslim. Firstly, why are police looking at what a journalist's coverage is? How is that a crime and filing it in a charge sheet? And what's worse is that Kappan's lawyers haven't actually got a copy of the charge sheet, even though it's been filed months ago.
जस्टिस चाहिए मुझे अभी भी हमारा संविधान में भरोसा है फेक केस
Did jailed journalist Siddiqui Kappan, charged under the stringent anti-terror law, incite Muslims, promote communalism and have links with the banned group Simi?
संविधान में भरोसा है but justice delayed.
Yes, say the UP police. In a 5,000-page charge sheet filed in April this year, some pages of which have been reviewed by NDTV. 36 articles written by Mr. Kappan for a Malayalam journal have been cited in the case diary, which is part of the charge sheet. The charge sheet says an article on activist Sharjeel Imam facing a Delhi riots case promotes feelings of communalism. Siddiqui Kappan's journalism was only meant to incite Muslims and to further the agenda of the Popular Front of India that wants to provoke riots and communal feelings, the charge sheet says. On another article about citizenship law protests, the charge sheet says the article talks about firing by a Hindu man during the Shaheen Bagh protests and compares this incident to the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. What the pages in the charge sheet do not seem to explain, though, is how reporting on the CAA protests or on communalism constitute offences like provoking riots or inciting Muslims. Even more worrying, Kappan's lawyers say they still don't have certified copies of the charge sheet.
इस मामले में चार्ज शीट 3 अप्रैल 2021 को आई थी। अभी तक 207 सीआरपीसी की कंप्लायंस के तहत फॉर्मली उसकी कॉपीज एक्यूज पर्सन्स को नहीं दी गई। किसी माइनॉरिटी कम्युनिटी के साथ सप्रेशन या इनजस्टिस की वॉइस को रेज करना वो कम्युनलिज्म की कैटेगरी में नहीं आता है तब तक जब तक कि ऐसा करने से किसी दूसरी रिलीजियस कम्युनिटी के लिए इनजस्टिस की वॉइस उसमें से न निकलती हो।
Kappan and 3 others have been in jail after their arrest from Uttar Pradesh's Mathura last year when they were travelling to cover the Hathras rape and murder case.
ये तानाशाही चल रही है।
With Saurabh Gautam in Mathura and camera person Vineet Verma, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.